Hello. Thank you, and welcome to the ESM Board Workshop, March 22nd, 2023. Please stand for the pledge. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for joining. Yeah, ask James. Yeah. So we're here tonight to review the responses of the community survey and the student survey that we sent out to ascertain feedback from the community and our stakeholders to be able to support our goal-setting process for the upcoming school year. Mr. Steinmel, can you give us a summary of the respondents, please?
Yes, so out of we have a total of 660, we had 47 respond. Guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. If your microphone is not green, you're not on. So if you press it once, on the bottom, there's a power button. Just press that power button one time and then hit the green button. Just on the bottom, underneath there's a power button. Mr. Steinmel, is yours on? There you go. So on the student survey, we had 889 total responses.
You're gonna hold it.
892 on the students, based on what I'm looking at here. So I'm putting it up here on the screen, folks.
Just
See, give me 1 second.
Good job, James. See, I knew we could do
All
that.
right, cool. So I have it up on the screen here. Sorry, Mr. Steinmel.
Areas of strength. Clearly, that's not mine. And
oh, there we go.
So this is the student survey. It's on this, yeah, you see them in the back also, or in the
You can
front.
see it here, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on everything.
But I don't know if you can make it a little bigger, maybe
Hold
a
on.
little wider. There you go. Perfect.
So,
See, we don't need a tech person. We have Mr. Governale, see?
what I do. All right, so we're going to look at the responses here. So 889 responses. It says 892, and if I'm not mistaken, the reason why there's a discrepancy is that Dr. Pulney and Sharon Murphy told me that when they first created the survey, they wanted to make sure that everything was working right through the accounts. So the first two
did
or
a
three,
test.
you're going to see strikeouts on them.
Okay.
So they were just verifying that everything worked.
Okay. So I just want to clarify with everyone for this workshop purpose that we're going to be going through the responses in pie chart format. The comments will not be discussed this evening or kind of analyzed in this forum. We'll use that as part of our SOAR analysis, which is the next step.
Yeah.
Right now, we're literally going over data.
Okay, since we have the student stuff survey up on the board, we'll start with this one. Is that cool? All right, so you can see the breakdown of the schools that participated, junior, senior high school, with the bulk of it, 522 responses from the high school, 172 at Eastport, and 195 at Dayton. Our current grade levels, you'll see the breakdown of grade levels. 12th grade, about 57, 69 in 11th. Excuse me, if I'm going too fast, stop me. 69%, 69 respondents and 7.8% in 10th grade. Ninth grade, 88. Eighth grade, 103. Seventh grade, 141. And sixth grade, 189. You know, it's interesting, if you look at this, and you might say, why would the numbers be higher in the lower grades? Well, what's that?
Younger kids are more compliant.
Yeah, and you know, those were the classes that the kids were, it was presented to them in their classroom. So that would make sense, okay? All right, so first question, do you feel your school is preparing you to be successful for the next, I'm sorry. My screen is very different because I have 3 different things in front of me, so if I'm scrolling back and forth, just let me know. Do you feel your school's preparing you to be successful next grade level? Somewhat agree, 33%. 36% agree, 144, 16% not sure, somewhat disagree at 6.7, and disagree at 59%. 59 answers for 6%, okay?
If I could just interrupt
ahead.
for a moment. So as we discussed previously, we're going to identify qualitative and quantitative goals. We're not going to have 1,000 goals. We're going to have goals under particular areas. So what I think you might want, and I don't want to, you know, forecast, but I want you to think about areas that you feel might be standing out as a need, okay? So looking at this, my eye tells me that 70% are agreeing somewhat or agreeing. So we have to decide as a group as we get to our goal setting, and we'll talk more about that, but as to, you know, what is going to be a goal and what's not, because there will not be goals associated with every question, just so you have a good understanding of where we're going to land. Go ahead, James.
Sure. Forgive me for a second, I'm just going back to the laptop here so that the audience at home can see this clearly. All right, so we'll move on to our next question. Overall, are you satisfied with your experience as a student? So we have 29%, some would agree, 36.9% agree. So that's good. It's quite a bit of positive feedback there. 9.4% disagree, 10.6% somewhat disagree, and 14% not sure.
James?
Yeah, I'm gonna address that. Just so you know, this is a board workshop, so there's no questions from the audience. Yeah, no problem, that's fine. I have no problem going over that. All right, so we got 94, 124 for not sure, 327, and then 258. And I'm doing the best I can, and I think I'm doing it accurately. I have this, it shows what camera you can see, and I have all of this data. From my understanding, the community sees these screens right now, okay? Yeah. All right, so I feel challenged at school. Tina got me on my toes. So I feel challenged at school, somewhat agree, 244. 313 respondents agree. Not sure, 135 for 15%. Somewhat disagree, 100 students. And disagree, 94 students at 10.6%. All right, my classes are interesting and interactive. Somewhat agree and agree. I mean, overall, if you look at these two combined, that's a large majority, which is positive, okay? Disagree, 9.6%, somewhat disagree, 14%, and not sure, at 79 for 8.9%. There are many opportunities for extracurricular activities for students at this school to get involved in sports, clubs, arts, theater. This one is an overwhelming agree, and somewhat agree. Yeah, somewhat disagree. You know, Mr. San Marco, you did bring up a good point, right? Because we're obviously not the first. What's that? Yeah, you know what? And I think you bring up a good point. I would be interested to speak to other districts that have done stuff like this and kind of get a sense.
I have to be honest, you know, I would agree, Mr. San Marco, that if life could look like that, data never looks that way for everything. It really doesn't. I mean, that would be amazing, and that would be a goal. But you're looking at almost 90% of the children feel positive. So that's a wonderful, wonderful response rate. But I think, the reality is we have to have something to work on. There's always something to work on, right? Isn't that the reason for this?
The good thing is hopefully with this data, we can recognize the areas that need work and let's do the work.
Correct.
That's why we're all here. Teachers available.
Mr. Governale, I'm sorry.
Yep, you
I
wanna go
still
back?
am not able to access it on here. Would you mind going back up to the one before that one, do I feel challenged?
Yep.
That,
Those classes-
my classes are interesting and interactive. And then one right before that. Sorry, I've been trying to access it and email Ms. Murray, and it's not working for me. So,
Ms. Pastor, did Ms. Polney call you?
yes, she
Okay.
did,
But
but then
no
the meeting
success?
started. I'm going to leave my Chromebook here for her to look at. Oh.
I feel challenged at school.
Can I just make a point while we're on this
Go for
particular
it.
slide?
Yep.
Because it just struck me, my own thinking, right? So to Ms. Racca's point, there is a spread and not everybody is going to respond positively to every question. I mean, that's reality. What we have to do in our own minds, though, is think about, like, for this one, it is a pretty decent distribution, but for me, I think children should feel challenged. So to me, I would say this is an area that I would like to see work on, whereas the next one, I think, is probably reasonable for any school. So every question is not going to have the same reaction based on the distribution. And so those are the things that we need to go away from here with, thinking about. And when we get to the SOAR, the part where we do that SOAR analysis, strengths, opportunities, whatever, that's where we each have to come with our own perception of this data and what we think
Correct.
isn't, like, to me, that needs improvement. So that would be on my list of opportunities, right? So it's just something to keep in the back of your mind as you're looking at the data. Everybody is going to look at this differently in terms of where they think improvement should be, and that's where we're going to come together and have those puts and takes discussions to come up with the goals.
Right, so I
I hope that made sense.
I'm going to add on to
Made
that.
sense in
So
my head.
the next step, just as a reminder for everyone, the next step is that the board and particular administration here, as well as perhaps some other administration of Mr. Steinmill's choosing, will receive the SOAR analysis. And we did send that form to you for review so you guys can understand what you'll be getting. So that's exactly what Ms. Costanza is saying, is that, so now you're going to, you digest the data, you take a look at the comments, you do the SOAR analysis, you will take a look and see what you feel is important and how you feel it should be addressed. And then the analysis of that is done at the next board workshop, so that this way we can kind of drill down to what, those big, overarching goals should be, so that the district can provide us their objectives on how they're going to meet them.
It's probably also important to note that this survey is only one component of the data we're
Correct.
looking at, right? We're looking at demographic data, we're looking at scores data, we're looking at the New York State scorecard. Like, we should be looking at a breadth of data because there are different categories. This is just one category. This is a perception category.
Right.
And
I mean, even
there's others.
Dr. Christie already has articulated on multiple presentations their goals for particular scores and where they are now. And so all of that kind of comes into play. So this is really, like you said, one portion of how, the survey, the stakeholders kind of feedback. So.
Ms. Ragga, with this, I mean, we could probably tie to the loss of learning with COVID too. So there's a lot of people that are saying, yeah, I feel challenged at school, but it's not really that they're academically like where they should be, or like, wow, I'm really pushed, but it's probably just because of the whatever time frame they were.
A lot of catch up, yes.
A lot of catching up to do, so that's a pretty good indicator of that too.
Mr. San Martino, you bring up a good point, and this is, from my everyday experience at work, and I mean, it's happened today at school. Kids, we got the COVID loss, right? not only are kids dealing with that learning loss, right? We're dealing with a whole, an issue where students, so many students were cheating through COVID on the computer where they would, unless I'm a language teacher, just using Google Translate for everything. There was no accountability. They didn't have to do anything. So now they're coming back and they're like, whoa, I have to perform, I have to do this. But some of these kids are figuring out how do I perform also? What are the skills I need and how do I work through this? So there's a lot of challenges here, and these are things that teachers work on with them every day in the classroom to help them out and be successful. But you bring up a good point.
Now, I hate to be blunt. Is this like a round robin? We all talk about our feelings about the data, or are we just gonna?
It's supposed to be an objective discussion of data, and that's it.
Okay, so
I
are we
agree. Thank you for reeling us in.
No, because like I'm
right.
trying my very best to just shut my mouth and read the data, like not to make, any reasons why this data happened or why it didn't happen or why it should happen or
Right.
why it might not happen.
You're 100%
So we'll stick to
right.
that.
You're 100% right. That's
Because,
exactly what.
I
the goal
usually
was,
lead the charge with breaking the rules. So if you guys all want to do that, I'll jump on board and we'll be here until 10 o'clock at night,
All right.
which I'm fine with.
I'd like to take a vote and say no.
All right.
Keep
So,
going.
Ms.
I don't know where
Pastor,
we're
do you have access now?
Ms. Pastor is all taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank
I
you.
do
So
finally,
I'm
so
going to
I'm
go back
just
down
catching
to where I was, right? Where this was,
Yes,
there were
thank
many
you.
opportunities. All right, I'm going to go on to the next one. Teachers available when I need to talk to them. All right, so 251 somewhat agree, 383 agree, 122 not sure, 71 disagree, somewhat disagree, and 63 disagree. I feel my teachers care about me. Somewhat agree, 27%, 242 respondents, 380 agree. So we got 3, good. So 145 not sure, 60 somewhat disagree, and 61 disagree. I feel like I belong and I'm part of this school. 400 agree, 228 somewhat disagree, 85 disagree, 67 somewhat disagree, and 105 not sure. I feel safe at this school. 395 agree, 44%, 231 somewhat agree, 88 disagree, 59 somewhat disagree, and 116 not sure. All right, so we're not going into comments like that.
We're not going to go to the comments.
Yeah, so that's the bottom of that. So I'm going to move on to our next one. Any comments before we move out of the student survey?
Yeah, I'd be happy to go through the data so you
Will
can
do.
scroll through, so
Yeah.
you don't have to do the whole.
Okay.
So we're going to go to the family and community, 422 responses.
I'm sorry. 422.
First question, what is your relationship to the school district? 81% are parents, 11% community, and 7.9% community.
So community staff member.
Age, 69%, 31 to 51, 24%, 51 to 64, 3.6%, 65 and up, 2.4%, 18 to 30 years old. How long have you lived or worked in the district? 35.7%, 10 to 20, 30.9%, more than 20, 13.2%, less than 5, 20.1%, 5 to 10 years. What schools are you affiliated with? 29.8% South Street, 19.8% Tuttle, 31.5% Dayton, 27.7% Eastport, 63.2% Junior Senior High School, and 5.5% NA.
Mrs. Racco, just hold on one second.
Sure.
All the board members, this just flashed on my screen. It said that last edit was made seconds ago by Joseph San Marco. Not calling you out, Joe, but can we screw this up if we touch the wrong thing on here?
No, so that's a great question, Mr. Goldhammer.
I don't know what Joe's doing. He's changing numbers. I don't know.
So Mr. San Marco, what are you doing?
Wait a minute.
All right, So, no, listen, first of all, great question. Number one, the responses were rough. Number two is, the way that I had this shared out was, I spoke to Miss Murray, our clerk, and Miss Pooley, our director of technology, who helped us organize this. Earlier this afternoon, I spoke to them this morning. I said, would you send this out? Can you send this out at the very end of your day to us, right? And what I'd like you to do, the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to share it, add it out send it to the committee members, which is Miss Rocca and Miss Costanza, but also add it to me also. As soon as you send it out, I want you to click on Open in Sheets, and then I want you to share that sheet with us. We will all add it on that sheet. Google Sheets creates what's called a transaction edit history. So any changes that are made by any single one of us is viewable, right? So you guys can go through.
So may I ask what you changed,
Yeah.
Mr.
I don't know, but I
San
didn't
Marco?
want to start touching stuff. And
Yeah, so I appreciate you bringing that up, but that was one of the reasons why I immediately said to them, please open it in Sheets, so we have that recording immediately available, so anything that comes up would be there, okay?
Okay.
I don't think it was necessarily that it was
Just
the
as
last edit.
just to reiterate what Mr. Governelli is saying, the responses are off. You can't change the responses,
can't
so that's a good thing. What you changed, we don't know.
Yeah, but you could go-
Apparently, it wasn't a response.
I know what he changed. It says, look, overall, how satisfied are you with Joseph San Marco? 100%.
That pie chart is great.
Yeah, so we just, Mr. Goldhammer, you did bring up a good point. We did that to try to make sure that any changes, if anything happens, somebody clicks delete on
tracked.
something, it's all tracked, and it's viewable by everybody on the board, okay?
Cool.
Next question. Overall, how satisfied are you with the district, with the school district? 14.4, very satisfied, 43.3 satisfied, 27.3 dissatisfied, 11.5 very dissatisfied, and 3.6 no opinion.
No opinion.
In the time you have been affiliated with the school district, do you think the education has improved, stayed the same, or declined? 15.3% think it has improved, 32.8 stayed the same, 39.2 declined, and 12.7 not sure.
Ding, 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 ding. That's an area of
How
focus.
satisfied are you with with how the school district is following in the following categories? So this is a little bit of a long one. So 44%, or is it 44% or 44 respondents, I believe it
44
is. Doesn't look like there's a percentage there, right?
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
list.
so 44 response are very satisfied with the plans for the district's future. 169 are satisfied with the plans for the district's future. 101 are not satisfied with the plans for the district's future. 34 are very satisfied,
Very unsatisfied,
very unsatisfied, I apologize. And 66 are not sure about the plans for the district's future. Responses to prepares students for college. 37 are very satisfied. 146 are satisfied. 101 are unsatisfied. 34 are very unsatisfied. And 99 are not sure. As it relates to prepares students for careers, 29 are very satisfied. 113 are satisfied. 118 are unsatisfied. 44 are very unsatisfied. 110 are not sure. As it relates to maintains facilities, 84 very satisfied. 200 satisfied. 85 unsatisfied. 33 very unsatisfied. 12 are not sure. Are there multiple? Because I can't get past the addresses.
You got to just scroll to the right.
I did.
Maintains facilities isn't bad.
Want me to pick this one up?
Bad than what it was.
Oh, wait, you don't have?
I don't have a scroll bar.
Use the right arrow. Use the right arrow or the hand.
Oh, I got it. Oh, well, he got it. Okay. Addresses students' social emotional needs. 153 satisfied. I apologize. 51 very satisfied. 153 very satisfied. 104 unsatisfied. 73 very unsatisfied. 35 not sure. Communicates with community members, 51 very satisfied, 166 satisfied, 100 unsatisfied, 79 very unsatisfied, 21 unsure. I don't know what you did. Was that the last one?
You got it. Yeah, you got, this is where you look at, oh.
Is that the last one?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Ms. Costanza, your mic is not on.
I'm sorry?
She got it. What's that? I thought you were
Regarding
talking.
the student experience, which the district key areas of focus be in the coming years? Rate from 1 to 5, with 1 being the highest priority and 5 being the lowest priority. So as it relates to student social emotional development, 200 felt that was the highest, 105 felt that was second, 71 third, 21 fourth, and 12 fifth. As it relates to student achievement on standardized tests, 59 felt the highest, 117 was number 2, number 3 was 131, number 4 was 44, and number 5 was 56. Quality of teaching staff, 307 said that was the highest, 71 number 2, 3 was 27, 4 was 2, and 5 was 9. Addressing achievement gaps between subgroups of students, 106 highest, 145 2, 108, excuse me, 108 3, 29 4, 19 5. Community service opportunities. 51 highest, 54 number 1, 132. 3 is 164 people, 4 is 35 people, 5 is 27 people. Extracurricular offerings. 94 made it number 1, 188 made it number 2, 98 made it number 3, 18 made it number 4, and
12.
I can't
Made it
see
number
it.
12 made it number 5.
Got it?
Yep, 12 made it number
12
5.
made it number 5. Aligning curriculum and instruction. Why is this? To the job market. 174 felt that was the highest. 138, number 2. 75, number 3. 21, number 4. 6, number 5. More flexible schedule of the school day. 56, 1, 119, 2, 153, 42, 4, 45. Access to cutting-edge technology. 129, 1, 176, 2, 76, 3, 16, 4, 14, 5. Individualized differentiated instruction for each child. 165, 1, 131, 2, 85, 3, 17, 4, 11, 5. Respect for cultural and individual difference. 138, 1, 114, 2, 97, 3, 35, 4, 26, 5. Rigorous academic programming. 151, 131, 2, 94, 3, 23, 4, 10, 5. Preparing students with life skills. 267, 1, 101, 2, 25, 3, 10, 4, 11, 5. And I believe that was the last question on
Yeah,
that?
so if we look at that, look, student social and emotional development stands out as a big focus, right? Am I reading this right? Quality of teaching staff, aligning the curriculum to the job instruction, access to cutting-edge technology, individualized differentiated education for each child.
Is there a way that we can get the data? So what I would like to get an analysis of that would help me would be, I'd like to see all the ones, that, what you're saying, the standouts. What did it really come out to? What is the percentage of people who felt?
You know what, it's in, when you look at I'm looking at the spreadsheet,
It's in there.
you could take it and, sort it
Well,
very
that's what
easily.
I want, that's what
Yeah,
Ms.
I
Costanza
can
can do.
pivot that and we can look at it that way. I also think we should maybe put them in priority order, which one had the most ones, which.
Correct, that's
right?
what I'm
And
saying.
have them.
Yes.
Just to have kind of like a guide for us, like a
Yeah,
North
that would be
Star
really
that says
helpful
these are
to
the
really better
priorities that the
understand the
community
demographics.
has.
You can combine, just make a cutoff line where, satisfied, very satisfied, dissatisfied, very dissatisfied.
Correct.
Just take that and just put it together,
Okay.
put it back together. I could help you with that too. Anything with that.
For the student one, is there any way to break it down? I know that's the least amount of kids for the high school kids that were able to do it. Can we break it down and see how the high school feels, how the 3 to 5 buildings,
Yeah.
6 buildings feel?
Yes.
K to 2, because that also will give you a different light as to, the age level and.
Sure. Thank you. All right, move on to the next one? No, that's the end of,
Yeah, those are both surveys.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, that last chart really stands out. And same with here, this satisfied at very, I don't know who that is. Satisfied, unsatisfied. So definitely some things stand out. Any questions before we move on to the next one? Actually, that's the student and that's the family. Yo voy a continuar con el español. ¿Listo?
Sí, en español, por favor.
So,
Mr. Governelli, you can take that?
yeah, okay.
So I can you want to merge these for like the priority list, right? We'll just add
Correct.
these into the main one?
Yeah, we'll do it on the back end in sheets.
Yeah.
Take this and just merge it together. And in the sheets data, it's very good because when you go column-wise, what school do you attend? Bam. Take that sorted alphabetically, all the Eastport, South Streets,
And you
it'll
can
all
read the
come up.
responses for the particular schools, see if there's
Absolutely.
any recurring themes in there.
Mhm.
Makes sense.
So you'll do that analysis on the back end for us?
And it's easier to do this if you actually take this data, export it as like a CSV or an Excel file, and put it into a full-blown program like Microsoft Excel instead of Sheets, because you'll have all the data and validation part of it. So I don't know if we have that available. I think we do have Microsoft 365 on here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
or someone has
Well,
in the
we have it.
district. I have
We
it
have it.
person. I have it
We
personally.
do have it.
I have it personally too.
So then we'll be good.
But you can do pivot tables and stuff in Sheets.
Yeah.
Not as, I like Excel better, but it can
Yes.
be done. I get you.
It's better than Lotus.
Mr. Governelli.
Okay.
When you read these, can you translate to English for us also, please?
You can follow along. Yeah, I could translate if you want, but.
Well, some of these
I
things
think-
are only like 7 responses.
Yeah,
Look.
they're
It's
also.
okay. It's
Mr.
still warranted for all of us to hear it.
Mr. San Marco, they're also, it is the same questions as on the parent one. So I'm going to go through this real quick for our Spanish-speaking community. It says, ¿cuál es su relación con el distrito escolar? 71% dice que padre, una persona es miembro del personal y también una persona tenemos padre, tutor, la alumna actual o anterior. So that is asking, so what is your relation to the district? So we have a parent or a former student, member of personnel, and it looks a little redundant here. Padre, tutor, alumni, actual. So a former student or parent of somebody that was a former student. ¿A qué grupo demográfico de edad perteneces? 71% a la edad de 31 a 51 años. 14% una persona respondió 51 a 64 años y también una persona respondió que está entre la edad de 18 a 30 años. Just asking what grade what their age is. And so we got 31 to 51, 51 to 64, and 18 to 30. ¿Cuánto tiempo ha vivido o trabajado en el distrito? 50% menos de 5 años. 5 a 10 años, 2 personas, 33%. Y una persona con 16.7%. 10 a 20 años. So 3 people less than 5 years, 5 to 10 years were 2 respondents, and 1 person was 10 to 20 years. ¿A qué escuela estás afiliada? En la escuela Nadie en la escuela primaria de South Street, nadie en Tuttle Avenue, dos personas en Dayton, una persona de Eastport, tres personas en esta escuela secundaria de junior senior. So we have nobody at Tuttle, nobody at South Street, two people at Dayton, one person at Eastport, and then we have three people at the secondary school, one person no respondió, did not respond. En general, ¿qué tan satisfecho está con el distrito escolar? Cuatro personas dijeron que están muy satisfechos y tres personas respondieron que satisfecho también. So 3 people are satisfied and 4 people are very satisfied. En el tiempo que ha estado afiliado con el distrito escolar, ¿cree que la educación ha mejorado, se ha mantenido igual o ha disminuido? 42% dice que se mantuvo igual, no estoy seguro, una persona. Mejorada, una persona, y mejorado, 2 personas. So 2 people say it has improved, has pretty much stayed the same for 3 people. I'm not sure, 1 person, and it's improving. How many is that? 1. ¿Qué tan satisfecho está como le va al distrito escolar en las siguientes categorías? So, planes para el futuro, distrito. 3 personas dijeron muy satisfechos, 2 satisfechos, y 2 dicen que no están seguros. Are you happy with the plans for the future? 3 said they're satisfied, 3 said they're very satisfied, 2 said satisfied, and 2 are not sure. Prepara a los estudiantes para la universidad. 2 said that they're happy, muy satisfechos, and 5 satisfechos. So asking, are you preparing our students for the future? 2 said they were very satisfied. 5 said they were satisfied. No other respondents there. Prepara a los estudiantes para carreras. Are we preparing students for their careers in the future? 2 muy satisfechos, 4 satisfechos, y una persona no seguro. So 2 said they were very satisfied, 4 satisfied, and 1 was not sure. Mantiene las instalaciones, 4 muy satisfechos y 3 satisfechos. How are we doing maintaining our facilities? 3 were satisfied and 4 were very satisfied. Aborda las necesidades sociales y emocionales de los estudiantes, 4 muy satisfechos y 3 satisfechos. So are we meeting the needs of social emotional needs of our children? 4 said yes, very satisfied, 3 were satisfied. Se comunica con los miembros de la comunidad. 5 muy satisfechos, 1 satisfecho, y 1 insatisfecho. So we had 5 saying they were very satisfied with the communication to the community. 1 was satisfied, 1 was not satisfied. Con respecto a la experiencia de los estudiantes, ¿cuáles deberían ser las áreas claves que enfoque del distrito en los próximos años? Califica cada uno de los siguientes elementos en una escala de 1 a 5, siendo 1 a la prioridad más alta y 5 a la prioridad más baja. So 1 being your highest score with respect to the students in the district, what should be the areas that the district focuses on in the future? Clarify, use the following scale for your answer. And we have desarrollo social emocional del estudiante. 4 people said that we should be focusing on their emotional development of children, social emotional development. 3, desarrollo social del estudiante para la segunda. So 4 people said 1 and 3 people said 2. Rendimiento de los estudiantes en las pruebas estandarizadas. So should we be focusing on developing our students for their standardized tests? 4 personas dijeron que sumamente debe ser nuestra prioridad. 2 personas dijeron que sí es un área que enfocamos, número 2, y en la escala número 3, una persona. So 4 people said that it should be our priority. 2 people ranked it as a 2, and 1 person as a 3. Calidad del profesorado, o calidad de los profesores. 6 personas dijeron que sumamente debe ser la prioridad, and una persona marked as número 2. So as far as teachers are concerned, it kind of lines up with the 6 people saying that we should be focusing on the quality of our professors. Abordar las brechas de rendimiento entre subgrupos de estudiantes, so focusing on the subgroups of our students and trying to help those students out. Sumamente, 2 personas dijeron sumamente, 3 personas marcaron número 2, una persona número 3 y una persona número 1. So looking at the subgroups, and I think I actually just mentioned this, looking at subgroups of students and giving them the opportunities to help them improve in school. Oportunidades de servicio comunitario, 3 personas dijeron sumamente, una persona marcó 2 y 3 personas marcaron número 3. So opportunities for service in our community. 3 people said it should be our priority. 1 person said marked it as 2, and then 3 people marked it as 3. Ofertas extracurriculares would be 5 personas dijeron que sumamente es una prioridad y 2 personas dijeron que es importante, pero segunda vez. So we got 5 people said extracurricular activities are important, and 2 said that it would be number 2. Alinear el currículo y la instrucción con el mercado laboral. 4 sumamente, 2 personas marcaron número 2 y una persona marcó número 3. So we should be preparing kids for the labor market and align our curriculum with that. 4 people said it's high priority, 2 put it as number 2, and 1 next one. Horario más flexible de la jornada escolar, so a little bit more of a flexible schedule for the days. 2 personas dijeron número 1, que es la prioridad. Una persona dijo que número 1 y 4 personas marking número 3. So should we be more flexible with the school day? 2 people said yes for number 1, high priority. 1 person said 2, and then 4 people said 3. Acceso a la tecnología de vanguardia, so better access to technology. Sumamente 4 personas dijeron que sí. Acceso a la tecnología, una persona dijo que es prioridad número 2, and then número 3, 2 personas. So access to better technology, 4 people said it was a priority. 1 person, excuse me, said they marked as number 2, and then number 3 was 2 people. Educación individualizada y diferenciada para cada niño. So if we are doing individualized instruction for students or differentiated instruction. 3 personas dijeron que es número 1, una persona dijo que número 2, 2 personas dijeron número 3, y una persona dijo número 4. So 3 people for number 1, 1 person for number 2, 2 people for number 3, and 1 person for number 4. Respeto por la diferencia cultural e individual. 3 personas dijeron número 1, una persona número 2, 2 personas número 3, y una persona número 1. So respecting individual cultures and differences, 3 people said that was priority number 1, 1 person said it was number 2, 2 people said it was number 3, and 1 person number 4. Programación académica rigurosa, so having rigorous academics for our students. 4 respondientes dijeron que número 4, 4 respondientes dijeron que es la prioridad número 1, 2 personas dijeron que número 2 y una persona dijo número 3. So looking at rigorous academics for our students. 4 people said it was top priority, 2 people said it was our second priority, and then 1 person said it was the other. And you know what? This is not showing. 1 second. I apologize. And then it says, preparar a los estudiantes con habilidades para la vida. So preparing students for their life skills, or life, excuse me. 5 personas dijeron que es prioridad número 1 y 2 personas número 2. So preparing students for life skills, 5 people said that it's priority number 1, and 2 people said it's priority number 2. And that, my friends, is the Spanish.
Thank you.
Yeah, de nada. No, this is not going out to the community. That's a decision the board has to make. We haven't gotten to that yet, so.
There's a lot of the comments as far as there are categories within the survey that were not addressed, such as administration and leadership. So I know that that's where a lot of the comments were made. as far as
Yeah, we're going to look at them and see what they say. So at this point, we haven't made a decision on that. This is not a board, this is a board survey that we created so that we could create board goals with the input from the community. right?
And so a couple of further comments to the comments, right? One, we have to review them because there could be confidential, they're calling out other kids or teachers, we can't publish that, obviously. But one thing I'd like to just mention to the board now, and it's something I'd like to talk about at the next business meeting regarding budget, there is a company through BOCES that does a really robust survey. Like this was our quick and dirty first pass. It includes things that Ms. Lukasano just mentioned, like there's stuff on administration, there's specific to teachers, they do so many different things. And they would, with our input, would create the survey, and then we could obviously modify the questions to meet our needs, but they have a whole breadth of things we can choose from. They do the whole administration of the survey, and they give us a report at the end. So we would get a
Analyzed.
report that has everything, and it's something that could be repeatable year after year, because this is creating a baseline for us, but what we'd really like to have, one of the key things is, are we improving in certain categories that we targeted year on year? So this only works if we create a repeatable process for it. So I would love to at least put some money aside in the budget so that we have it to consider doing something like that for next year. And we can provide more information on a sample survey, what it looks like, and some of the content and reporting for the board to see.
I know that we're not gonna like talk, but can we also, instead of doing the survey and allowing students to take it home, that happened at high school level, there were teachers that allowed kids to do it at homework, teachers will allow kids to do it in school. Can we make it just like the elementary so that our numbers are higher and do it during a Zoom or a certain time?
I thought the intention was to give them time during homeroom. I'm not sure what happened there, so we'll have to look at that.
So just,
What we'll also do is we'll request feedback from people afterwards when we're done with the process and kind of take that, whether the students, whether the parents and the community and even the staff.
Well, the staff numbers were really low, which was a little disappointing, but in fairness, like the questions weren't really geared to them either, as much as they should have been. And we didn't really know until we saw these other sample surveys that
Right.
there's lots of things we can be asking them that we should be asking them. And I think if we ask them more relevant questions, they'd probably be more forthcoming with responses. So certainly
Yeah,
something we
when
want to
we
look
had
at for
a-
next time.
and just to take this back,
And put a
Go ahead,
survey
Joe.
out to just the faculty members.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Have their
Yes,
own
agreed.
survey with their own
Yes.
relevant
Yes.
I want to hear
questions.
what they have to say about administration, about the board, about students, issues. I want to hear it all.
Well, curriculum, there's a lot of questions that we can be asking the
Right.
faculty. So yeah, I think they need their own survey, is what I'm
Specifically just
saying.
for them. I agree with you 110%.
Yeah.
and just take this top level again, because data's great, okay? I'm not gonna go back through my rant on, we're doing all this to create board goals, right? So, in the end, we're gonna take all this data, all this time, we're gonna come up with some really great goals, all right? And then the structure of those goals and what they sound like and how they present, I wanna see the difference between that and what we would've written without doing all this surveying, right? Because the last thing we want to do is create a never-ending loop of surveying and asking feedback for this group, then that group, then the students, and this and that. So we have to be careful with that also, because all the data that we get, there are going to be people who are not going to be happy with our goals or how we respond to the data that we get. So, at some point, you have to kind of say, okay, we have enough data to move this forward. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm trying to say.
Do you have an opportunity to look at that sample
Yeah.
picture I sent you? So that should answer some of the question.
I'm not looking for an answer. I'm just letting you know, there was 422 responses out of a basis of what, 14,000 people who were asked to take the survey. You got to look at that sample size and say, well, hopefully these are the same people who come out and vote, right? They come out and vote for board members, they come out and vote for the bond. And, we get, I think on the highest year during COVID, when we mailed everyone a ballot, I think we had about 5,000 responses. Okay, it's very easy to take this. So all I'm saying is, at some point, we're gonna be just constantly inundated with data. So we need to be careful with that. I mean, we're making board goals out of this. I think that in the past, the board goals really haven't been that bad. And I would like to still see the difference between the board goal that we come on with after reading all this and what the board goal would have been. I mean, I wrote down what we said the board goals would have been a while ago. So let's just hopefully all of this is going to turn out to be a better goal.
Right, if I could just comment on that, Mr. Goldhammer. So I think that what we were envisioning was what you typically would see from some of the other school districts. So you might say something like, I'll give you the example we sent you. Feedback from the May 2022 survey indicates 48% of secondary students feel da-da-da-da-da, and then put a goal in place to see if we can increase or decrease that data depending on what the goal might be. That would be one goal as it relates to the survey. And then you might have data indicates as it relates to math scores of 2022, that 75% of, when you can put that qualitative, then you
get
could, right? So I think that that's the one very large missing piece. But I think, from the goals that you sent before that were in place, is that ability to kind of understand where we are now and where we would like to project to be and how we're doing.
I totally understand that. I totally get it. I'm not attacking either one of you guys. You did a great job. This is a lot of data. All I'm saying is whenever you ask people from the community or anybody to get involved, and we don't address specifically what might have came up in a comment, but what they might have said they're dissatisfied with, right? They're going to show up here at some point and come up and go, and by the way, that survey you sent me, I told you about this, and you didn't listen. So we just have to be careful with how many times we ask for data. If we're going to do this, if this is something that this board wants to hand off to a new board, right? It's still up to that board to do it or not to do it.
But you know that if we have a survey that went out to 14,000 people, and what was the N?
422 responses from the community?
And 422 people responded.
Yes.
We cannot control that. But what we can do is take from the people who chose to have their voice heard and say, of the 422, let's just say 400 people had a concern on a comment.
Of
That's
course.
glaring. If 2 out of 422 did, I don't know that we're going to be able to address all of that.
I understand.
wanna look at
I understand the
trends.
ratio.
Yes.
All I'm saying is, and it's just for discussion. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I don't care. All I'm
Just
saying
don't want
is,
everyone to think every comment's going to be addressed, because it can't be.
So, and
right. So let's just
What I
make
think
that.
you're trying
Let's
to
make
get
that
to.
clear,
Yeah.
right? Because every time you ask people, and you guys could just keep tag teaming on me. That's good. Just like you pass
well,
it to Carl, you
if
pass it to me.
you
That's
ask,
cool.
can then let
But
me
all-
respond, and then you
all-
can ask, and then I'll respond, and we'll have a dialogue.
I'm not just, I'm talking to the whole board, right? Which I haven't heard from any of the other board members, but that's okay. All I'm saying is we have to be careful on how many times we ask for input if we know there's only so much we can do. As a board, there really is only so much that we can do. And when you start reading through those comments, it gets very granular.
So the comments are to inform perception. So let me just read you a few questions about perception data. It's to determine whether there are widespread concerns, whether concerns are valid or a perception, because sometimes it's a perception problem, and then you need to address the perception. It also helps you to set priorities. So when we have that list of all the different things we want to focus on, when we were talking about putting them in priority order, then when we're talking about goals and we're having a debate about whether we should do goal A or goal B because we can't do everything, that priority list could help inform the decision, because we can say, well, the community spoke loud and clear that this should be the top priority, so that's what we should focus on this year because we do have limited or finite resources. The intention of asking for this data is not to address every single concern and complaint that every single individual has, but rather to aggregate it, to find the big rocks and work on them first. That's the first comment. And the second comment is my hope, and maybe this is, pipe dream hope, but my hope is if we actually take the survey data, put some good analysis to it, create some goals that have measurable results, do it again next year, and you see that the bar move, and do it again next year and see the bar move, people are gonna say, holy shit, they're doing something with this data, excuse my language. I gotta get in on that survey. Maybe it'll start a movement and we'll actually get more people to participate. And then more people are participating, then maybe more people will come out and vote, and more people will run for the board, and we'll get all this momentum of community involvement, right? That's
Well said.
that's one of my big hopes
And
with doing this.
I totally agree. I 100% agree with you with that. All I'm saying is that we have to just be a little sensitive to the fact that we ask people for specific comments here. So we have to try to do our best, because at some point, these are comments that were given to us. They were given to us by the public. They're not confidential. This stuff was all given to us because we asked for it, right? So if we see comments on there, we have to look at all those comments, and if any of them are glaring, even though it might not become a goal, we might need to take action on those comments.
We might not. It provides context. The whole point of the comments was to provide context. But yes, if somebody
I
reports
understand
something
everything
in
you're
there
saying. I'm
that's
just saying, as
glaring,
far
of course, we're gonna have to take
as-
action on it. But that should be the exception, not the rule, I would think. But I don't know until I read them.
Right. That's all I'm saying. We have to look through the comments, and you might have to filter a few out and say, wow, someone actually feels like this, or wow, this is something that is concerning to us as a board, and we need to pass it along to administration. That's all I'm saying, is we're asking about that. Yes, we can't, I don't know if we're gonna release the whole list of comments, because there is data in there that could be sensitive, right? But every time we ask for comments above what we're asking for, that's filtered out and categorized, we have to be careful with that. That's all I was saying. I wasn't invalidating anything else, just to say that there's stuff that is said in there that we need to take a stronger look at.
And I'm hoping we get some good suggestions, right? The questions were, what's one thing you would want to see different or better? And, you know, somebody might have a really good idea that none of our brains thought about. And that's part of the value of the comments, right? Is to get that input from
Well, I'll tell you
people.
one thing, this is going to lead to a lot more than just board goals. I have a funny
That's
feeling
where
the
I'm going
comments in
with
this section, we're gonna have to respond in some sort of way, whether it be via the administration or the board actually does something. I think we're sitting on something here.
Right, and that's kind of what I'm saying here. Like the board goals, right? They're supposed to be your 30,000-foot views. They want to be measurable. They want to be SMART goals. Exactly everything that you guys showed and that we read afterwards. But there are going to be some things that
Going to be some patterns
Yeah,
that are glaring to us, perhaps, and might need to be addressed, is
that
what you're saying, right?
precipitate out of this comment section that might not be a board goal, but it might be something we could do. Like, I don't even want to take a example, because someone's going to think I read it, right? Like
How about food in the vending machines? My kids always complain.
yeah,
they
food
don't
in the
have good
vending machines, right?
snacks,
That might be
Maybe
something that we could fix
go-
like this, right? There might be things that while
Sure.
we're reading the comments, we could, bold them and say, let's just try to fix these now. This isn't really a board goal. It's not a board goal that, we need to, I don't know, repaint all the signs yellow and green, right? But it sounds like a good idea. We all agree and we do it. So we are going to read through those comments. When we read through those comments, if we find stuff that we could do and jump on and just take care of, let's do it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a board goal. But every time we go and we ask for this, not only do we have what are we going to set, about 5 or 6 goals up in the end?
I would think so.
We could end up with 15 other bullet points that we could knock out or address based off the comments, possibly.
Which is coming directly from the community, and we kind of owe them the response.
Thank you. I think Joe might have translated what I was saying.
We offered them an opportunity to use their voice, and they did. And
Exactly.
therefore,
And then we need to respect it.
We will
Yep.
respect that, of course.
Just if you guys look at the Google Sheet, what I did was I took, I took the 2 comment sections that we had, and I added them as tabs on the bottom sheet 1, so it's a little easy to read through those comments for you guys. If you go to the sheet for the family and consumer, on the student survey, excuse me, on the student survey. You see I added 2 tabs at the bottom. I'm going to rename them.
You got to open it in view in sheets, and you did
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Just, and you got to refresh it if you're
yeah.
already in it.
What's her name? Sharon Murray gave us a direct link to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got form responses, and then you
What'd
added.
you do? You just moved the
I just
responses over?
I just copied the column and just
That's
moved
what
it
I'd
to a
like
new
to do
tab.
too is, again, to Ms. Locasano's point, is we should be looking at these in terms of grade level, see if there's common themes among different grade levels. That could point to different things that we may want to consider. And I do think there is a difference between elementary and high school.
Yeah.
I think we also should save, instead of making edits here, leave this as the raw data, then maybe save a
first, yeah.
copy, aggregate the copy up,
Yep.
Yeah.
lock the sheets, and then, you know, you can look at it. So if we want to
Never
look.
knows.
Yeah, I didn't pull.
Accidentally
yeah,
clear something.
Yeah,
You don't
no,
wanna
you're
do
absolutely
that.
right, and that's why I added them as separate tabs. I didn't change the original
Exactly,
page.
but we shouldn't, we don't want to all be working
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
one of us should say, okay, you know, Tina's going to work on it. When her work is done, we should do it, because we're going to end up making a big mess of it.
I'll
We
do,
don't do it right.
I'll move it to an Excel because I can work easier in that, and I'll just create a pivot, and then you can just do drop downs and see different slices and dices of it.
Yeah. You can also see what time of night, so you can see if people were grumpy at that time. What time of day. They have the time stamped when the response came in.
No.
So we can look at the trend too. Were people happier in the morning with the school or after school?
Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll add
Well,
that
yeah.
later. Can I, so the next step would be, we're going to, Mr. Governelli and Ms. Costanza are going to do a little bit more aggregate data for us, and then you could send that to us and just let us know when that's done. Because the next meeting where we had the board workshop for the goal setting is 4/26. So I believe what we were looking to do was within the next 2 weeks to send out that SOAR analysis to the board and the administration here. But I believe we,
So was that intended to be homework? Like, we're supposed to put our ideas on paper at home and bring that to the workshop, right?
to
And then we'll
participate as part of the
aggregate,
participatory
we'll aggregate it when we
process.
get there?
Yeah, as part of the participatory process.
So, and what about other quantitative data? Are we gonna have other data we want to bring into that, like
I think we should.
scores and
I
stuff?
think, yeah, I think we have a lot of that data that was already presented to us. So
So we should
perhaps you
probably
can-
hone in on a couple things. I know math was a big concern. We probably should have the math data. We probably should have
Right.
some Regents data. We, you know, I mean, even simple things like graduation rate, we should just look at it, see where we compare to other schools, and just, are we happy with where it is? Is it something we want to look at?
Do we want to ask Jamie what are some key pieces of data that he recommends we bring in other than?
I would ask the administration
Oh, okay.
for some key pieces of data
Oh, yeah,
that
no, I
they
mean
think
getting
we
it from
should
them,
be
but I was looking for
at.
ideas.
They're more familiar with our data and where our holes might be.
Yeah, that I agree with.
What do you think we should, what would you like to
Excuse me one second.
present? What kind of data would you like to present
Quantitative data.
that you feel is meaningful?
I think you would bring in the 3 to 8 assessments, the Region 6 scores, as well as our iReady and IXL results.
Okay,
That's
okay,
straight student performance data.
okay.
Over, at the next couple of board meetings, you're also going to see some results from surveys that the district has already done as well. We've done, last year we did a survey that will be at the next meeting, and then the following meeting, we will have Mr. Lane will present panorama and surveys that he did at the high school as well.
And that's all before the 26th, right? We have 2 meetings before the 26th?
I'm sorry.
Is that right? We have 2 meetings before the 26th, so we'll see most of that before the workshop, you think? Can't remember. It's my phone.
No.
At least have one, right? The 29th?
Yes, no, you'll see, you'll hear both. I'm sorry, you'll hear both.
Yeah, we have a meeting
Okay,
19th.
great, thank
Yep.
you. Thank you, Dr. Christie.
If in advance of whatever else we put together, if you go onto the curriculum instruction site on our webpage and you go to presentations, and then the annual Board of Ed data presentation from October is.
Yeah, we would be bringing that again.
Been posted on the site, so that has everything related to multi-year Regents performance, 3.8 ELA,
Yeah.
and iReady data.
Okay, so the navigation is curriculum instructions page, presentations, and then October.
It'll just say, the title of it is Annual BOE Data Presentation,
Perfect, thank you.
2022.
We were advised to ask if additional administrators, perhaps principals, or you think might be valuable to complete the SOAR analysis.
Yeah, well, certainly I think the building principals should be involved, our director should be involved. They'll be, they're going to play an important role with regard to the curriculum that may or may not need to be addressed. Perceptions about buildings, you would want to certainly have the building principals there as well as tied into the curriculum. So those are the ones I would think.
Okay.
Yep.
So do we want to set a date for when we're going to have that distributed? The SOAR analysis?
I think we should do it
relatively
before the
soon.
break.
Yes, and give it some
Because that'll
time.
get, because they do a week off, and the meeting is 2 weeks after that. So I think we should make sure they have it before the break so that they
It's a
can,
form,
they
you
can
know, at this point.
do it at
you
their
know, yeah.
convenience. That gives them 3 or 4 weeks to work with. I also just wanted to put the caveat out there in case people do see this at home. The 26th is also the Septo Carnival, which is a real big event here. And we tried with all our might to not have our workshop the same night, but we just couldn't get schedules to align. So unfortunately, we are going to have to do it that night, but we will record it. So if people feel a conflict but wanted to be here for that, there will be a replay
It
available.
was so hard between between the school closing and the board meetings and trying to get the goals done before May so that the administration has a couple of months to try to get those objectives together. It's like,
Yeah,
a time crunch.
we ran out of time.
So it's the 22nd, and the school is closed the week of the 10th. So do you think that by the
First week
5th,
of April,
I
yeah.
think the 5th
Yeah.
would be a good date?
Yeah.
That we can get that out to the board, and we can work with Mrs. Steinmetz to get that out to the rest of the administration?
Mhm.
And then I'll follow up with Jamie as it relates to, do we
He
collect
should provide us with
them?
a soft copy of a SOAR template. We need to ask him for that.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Can distribute
yes,
that.
yes. But do we collect them and give them to Jamie ahead of time for a quick?
That's a
what
question for
ahead?
him.
So I'm going to talk to Jamie about that. So I would think that, we're going to want them, I would assume we're going to want them back. It's not like people are going to be bringing them to the table with them, I think. But I'll find out from
That's a good
Jamie.
question. Do we aggregate them in the room? Do we aggregate them ahead of time?
Right, I'm going to ask Jamie, but as
Well,
long as
people are
we
going to have to come speak to theirs, perhaps, if there's debate about certain things or what things mean. So, yeah, that's a
Yeah.
question for him. Since he's facilitating, I would defer to him on that.
Yeah, so I'll reach out to Jamie, get that form, so it's, a nice clean form, and then,
I'm sure he has like a writable or typeable form,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
soft copy.
and I'll CC you on the email, and then,
Thank you.
and Mr. Govanelli, and then we'll identify whether, how we're going to proceed once they're distributed.
Sounds good.
Anyone have any questions?
Comments? Concerns?
No, I appreciate all the work
Suggestions?
that you guys did on this.
Our pleasure.
A lot of work went into this, so thank you. We have a board meeting next week, right?
Yes.
Next Wednesday. And what else? Oh, I did send everybody just a couple of notes for the board. I did send you guys an email about training that Tina and I went to for superintendent evaluation. I forwarded that to all of you guys, if you want to take a look at that for your own knowledge, so then we get to do that, everyone's clear on that. But Tina and I will fill in the board on stuff like that if you need. All right, I think we're good, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Let me shut that off, guys.